Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this month's Happen Today Alumni Webcast. I want to thank everybody for joining today. We're excited about this month's event. Rod or Eric, you guys ready to get us started?
I think we are. Let's get it going.
Okay.
All right. Thanks very much, everybody, for joining this afternoon. We've got a couple of really good presentations that are going to be done by Aaron Moon, who's an architect on our Power Platform team, as well as Rod Donovan, who, if you've joined in the past, you have heard him impart his wisdom to you. And so we're going to be talking about the Center of Excellence today, as well as portals. So we're looking forward to an exciting kind of presentation. So we will obviously, if there are questions along the way, please put those into the chat box so we can go ahead and address those as we go along. And so, yeah, today's presentation number one will be done by Rod around the Center of Excellence Starter Kit. All right, I'm sorry, Aaron will be doing that, and then Rod will be jumping over to the PowerApps Portals technology, and then we'll be kind of, again, melding in kind of what some of the business use cases are for this, for your organization. So, all right, guys, take it over.
So welcome everybody to this month's presentation. We're going to be talking about a couple of key topics here that we think are important for the community and for you guys to be aware of. The first one of those is the Center of Excellence, specifically the starter kit that Microsoft has provided. And so that's what I'm going to be walking through today. And then I'll be transferring it back over to Rod to talk about PowerApps Portals, which may be why some of you are here today. So hopefully you'll lend me your ear for a little bit while I talk you through the Center of Excellence before that. So when we think about the Center of Excellence and what a Center of Excellence is, it's really a concept or an idea. And then Microsoft has brought some tools that can help to make that concept or idea a reality. So there's some documentation out on the docs.microsoft.com site where you can really go read all of this information that Microsoft has provided, the different tools. And on that site, they give a really good sort of definition or explanation of what a Center of Excellence is and what it might be used for. So I just have a little excerpt from that. And it basically says that a Center of Excellence in an organization is meant to drive innovation and improvement. So this is me inserting again my comments. It's about driving adoption of these Power Platform tools specifically in your organization and allowing people to be able to innovate and change quickly. But it's also about bringing together like-minded people with similar business goals to share knowledge and success. So, you know, it's also about providing people tools for learning, examples of how to do things, and really together growing in your digital transformation. But the other side of it is also to provide standards and consistency, and also to govern activity within your organization. So when we're talking about Power Platform, you know, we're really, again, talking about a Center of Excellence that's focused on showing you, giving you resources for how to build Power Apps, say, or Power Automate. It's about collaborating with others and being able to learn from each other and experience success. So as you build an app for something that you think is really important, it may help you, you're able to, you know, be able to get that out to more people in your organization and sort of share in that success. And then also from more of a governance perspective, if you're, say, the IT department, then you want to make sure that if people are building apps, that maybe there's some standards. And maybe I would like, you know, as the IT department to know how many apps are people building? You know, what's going on that I need to be aware of. So that's really what the Center of Excellence is all about, what having a Center of Excellence is about, and centered around Power Platform. You know, it's managing the tools that we like to talk about on these webinars. And you know, the starter kit is something that Microsoft built. It's free to go download and use. And it's a collection of components and tools that are designed to help you get started with sort of defining your strategy of how you might have a center of excellence, but also just your strategy in terms of your business, your organization adopting the Power Platform, adopting Power Apps, and Power Automate. So these tools are really helpful, and I want to show some of them today. So I'm going to try to switch over my screen. Let's see if I can do this successfully.
Yep, you're good.
Good to go. Oh, I just switched back. All right, Rod, you can confirm you can see Power Apps?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm going to show a couple different things. The first is going to be, let's actually go look at the documentation I was just talking about. That'll be a good place to start. So if I've got to go copy, grab this link and come back in here. So if you go to that link that I had in the slide a minute ago, it's the docs site, Power Platform Guidance, COE Starter Kit. There is an entire Microsoft documentation library out here specifically around the Center of Excellence and how best to adopt Power Platform and these tools. And so you can come out here and read through this material, and out here as well is where you can find the links to download the different solution files that you need. So there is, you know, a video, and really you can see that the kit and the starter kit is composed of sort of four main areas. It's really about what's driving your goals and your expected outcomes for a center of excellence. It's about administration, so you know, actually setting up these tools, as well as you know, setting up and using Power Apps and Power Automate. It's about governing the use of those tools, so knowing how many apps are being built, who's using those apps, and just sort of having that governance, maybe a IT organization type of view of what's going on. And then there's the concept of nurture, right? That's the community. That's okay within my organization. So let's say within Velosio, you know, we have a community of people who are building apps and building Power Automate workflow, and we can all work together. And maybe we have a Yammer site set up, or some other type of collaboration site that we can all communicate together, share knowledge, and like I mentioned before, sharing our success, right? When we have an app that does something really cool, you want to share that with someone, you want others to begin using it, and maybe see if they can use those apps themselves. So there's a lot of information that you can come and read through. I guess I just want to click through a couple of these so you can see. You've got a large amount of screenshots and different things out here. You can see that there is a Power BI dashboard that you can set up and install. And this gives you a really cool overview of the analytics about your apps and your environments. You can do things like identifying apps that maybe is owned by someone who is no longer with the company. So there's an app out there for assigning apps, basically assigning and changing owners. And then there's different things that you can do for governance. There's different things that you can set up to nurture sort of your Power Platform community. And so this here is an example of an email that you can have sent out. You can have, there's some tools, some processes, Power Automate flows, for say sending a weekly newsletter and having key links, or this I believe is the welcome email. So it's the if you're a new maybe a new employee, you could receive this, or the solution here is smart enough to say when someone creates an app for the first time, like the first time that I go do app in a day, or just go build an app, we can recognize that it's my first app, and we can send this sort of welcome email from the Center of Excellence sort of team, and it's a welcome email. It's, hey, we have a Center of Excellence. We have all these people that have this community, and we're meeting together and sharing resources, and we want you to be a part of it. So there's some examples there of just different things that you can see. You can also see how to set up the Center of Excellence, what's in all of the different modules. There's some information on different limitations and release notes. And so just to again call out this, this is a solution that Microsoft is putting out there, but it is just a free download. So you'll see here, this is the link to download the starter kit. And it's going to come in just a really big zip file. And then you have to go in and install those different components, which I'll walk through a little bit here in a minute. But it's really not a supported and managed solution from Microsoft. So when I say that, I mean they do provide updates, but if you want the updates, you have to go out and find the new version and install that new version and basically push those updates in yourselves. It is free, so you don't have to pay anything, but that means that Microsoft is not necessarily providing direct support for this solution. So,
and Aaron, if I can jump in here and throw an example out of the times that we've worked with some of our clients and we've installed this with them, and it's a way to also get engaged and actually working within the Power Platform itself and seeing some examples of things that you can do, because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm just using Flow to move documents from my email to my OneDrive to my SharePoint site. When you see that all these other things can kind of piece in and work out together throughout the system, it kind of does get some of those juices flowing of, oh, this is a little more extensive than I had originally thought. And it's a low barrier of entry to get some free code up in your system that you can kind of see how the inner workings are built. And it's a kind of a free training as well. So we've seen some good experiences with some of our clients when we drop it in there for them and say, here, there's a new update out, go download the new update and you can start playing again with it. So those are another learning opportunity.
Yeah, it's definitely a learning opportunity. It's actually, it's improved as well in terms of how easy or how complex it is to get this set up. I think when it originally started, it was pretty complicated. The solution has continued to expand, and Microsoft is adding things to it. But some of those things have gotten easier. But I agree, it's something that you can install, and you can see how really you can use these tools, PowerApps, Power Automate, to build a really robust full solution for doing helping to do a particular task or answer a particular problem that people have wanting to really manage these tools in a better way.
So Aaron, this is Eric. So would it be fair to say then that by deploying this, you can actually track the usage of the various apps that you have out there? So that's one important kind of business perspective in terms of, hey, are we getting a benefit? Are the apps actually being used by the number of employees out there that have access to these apps? And then it goes directly to kind of the ROI you're getting on the investment of going into it. So that's another, sort of business use case potentially for this particular, technology.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to show some of those things here in just a second, but definitely tracking the different the uses of your apps is something that you can see how many apps are being built and different things with this solution. And you can also combine that with some of the administration capabilities that are out there in, say, the Power Platform Admin Center, which I want to show that briefly as well, because that really does tie into this story. So just to wrap up again on this, and then I want to get off of the text, but there are some multiple different kits or components, modules, I should say, that you can install. There's some core components that do a lot of the tracking and synchronization of what's going on in your organization. There's some governance components specifically for if you want to audit what people are doing with different apps. There's a really interesting process that you can set up where when someone new creates an app, say I create an app, you can then, as sort of the Center of Excellence team, you can see that that new app has been created, and then you can reach out to that app maker and walk them through a process of validating their app to make sure that it does, help them with identifying requirements, and then also help them to make that app better. And so you can sort of really govern and walk through a process of validating and improving an app. There's also the nurture components, which I mentioned, different notifications for new makers and onboarding and really creating that community. And then also there's some things about, again, the Center of Excellence is about providing resources and providing some standards. And there's some interesting things that you can do, when we're creating a Canvas app, a lot of the times you're, again, starting from scratch, and but you really want your app to maybe match your company's, you want to have your company logo and your company colors and theming. And so there's some things that you can set up in the Center of Excellence in terms of theme that then all of the apps that you build can reference. So you have the Center of Excellence, which is, our Velosio colors are white and orange and blue. Well, if next month we change our name, as is common in the tech industry, and we change our colors, you'd be able to go into the theme in your Center of Excellence and update those. And if all of your apps are pulling their theme from the Center of Excellence, all of those apps will just magically update. So there's some interesting things that you can do in terms of creating and maintaining standards that people use when they're building. So let me switch over, and I just want to show briefly what it looks like to get this installed. So the first concept I want to just throw out there is we typically like to install this into a new environment. If you're going to be playing around with it, or you just want to get it in there and sort of have it, we like to separate it if you have the space. And so, I'm sorry guys, I'm getting lots of notifications. Let me see if I can just turn these off. Apologies for that. So one, we like to make sure that you set up a new environment. That's what I've done, is a new environment here, and I just called it COE, and we've installed the components and the core solution. And the way that you do that is you're going to, again, download that zip file from that link that was in the doc site. And inside of that zip file will be some solution files. So there's multiple modules, but you'll see this Center of Excellence core component solution is one of the things that exists in that zip file you'll download. So you install this solution. There's a number of setup steps as you walk through. Once it imports, it's going to be importing a number of different flows as well as apps, and we can actually click to open this up, and you'll see all of the different things inside this solution. You'll see all of these different synchronization workflows, and these are all basically pulling data from different places in your organization so you have that overall view. And then you've also got a couple Canvas apps that get pulled in. And these are the ones that you can use to change the owners of apps, as well as you've got a model-driven app here that it allows viewing a lot of different summary information. So you import the solution into the solutions area, and there's like 3 or 4 other solutions that you can get imported that build on top of this to do some of those other things we talked about. But when we look at those core apps, let me just show you. This is the app permission center here, and this is where you can basically go environment by environment and see the different apps that exist in this environment itself. So, you know, we've got these different apps here that are imported by the COE solution, and I can do things like adding permissions, changing, you know, the owners of different apps, and I can also look to see if I have any apps that are orphaned. Basically, they are no longer owned by someone, or they were owned by someone who's no longer a part of the company. And this is important, again, if you built an app, if you have lots of makers building apps, that you need to make sure that those are owned by multiple people and make sure that they don't become an orphaned app if someone leaves. Similarly, we have the flow permissions, so similar concept there. And then if we switch back, if we go to the model-driven app, this is where it really gets interesting. Here you can see overviews of things like how many apps do I have across my organization. And so you can see that I've got, you know, here's a list of all the people who are making apps and the number of apps that they have. And then you can see, say, by environment. In the development environment, we have 34 apps and 16 flows. So this is a really cool way to see, again, across your organization, all of your environments, from an administrative perspective, what's the momentum? Where are we seeing apps being built? Maybe who is that person who's building lots of really cool apps that we need to make sure gets recognized and you know, is provided resources. There's lots of stories out there on the PowerApps community of those people who, you know, we're not app developers, we're not, you know, in the IT department, but they started building PowerApps and were able to transition and actually, you know, become full-time app makers as part of their job at a particular, at their organization. So we're trying to identify those people, see where the momentum is, but then help those people along with different resources. The last thing that I'll show just briefly is if we go to, let's see what one of these looks like. So if you go to a particular app, I just wanted to point out some native features that might speak to this story a little bit as well. If you click and select a particular app, you can go to the analytics view, and this will show you usage information for your app. So if you've built an app and you want to, you know, really, you think that it's doing really well, you can always come out here and pull usage information. This app is not a great one because I haven't really used it. But if we went to a different environment, I might have a slightly better example. So to Eric's point he mentioned earlier, seeing the usage statistics can really tell us if there's an app out there that's you know, really important. Someone may have built something themselves because they saw the need, and really that's catching fire and people are using it, and perhaps there needs to be some more serious support, you know, provided by maybe the IT organization to support that app and recognize the person who built it. So this is, again, just a little bit better example. Again, this is my test environment, so I don't have great numbers here, but being able to see how many times the app is launched, where people are playing the app, if they're running it on their phones or on the browser, maybe what user, what versions they have, and, you know, daily, how many people are using this. So there's some really good statistics, some information out here if you go to a particular app. And there's also at the administration level, this is the admin center. You can come out and see for a particular environment at a higher level, environment level, all of the different apps that may be used. And there's a number of different analytics and charts and graphs here that you can see how much it's being used, where it's being used, you can see the country here, as well as just performance data about how well your app might be performing. So all of this information together is, again, meant to help you think about how we can take an app and really determine if that's becoming business critical. And then if it's becoming business critical, how do we make it better? How do we support it? And then from an organizational perspective, having that center of excellence that can help app makers, help people who are building automation with the Power Platform to work better together, to share knowledge, have a community, and ultimately, share in that success that you may have from building a really cool app solution for a particular business problem. So that was my overview on the Center of Excellence. Hopefully that's helpful again for you guys to understand sort of what it is.
No, I would just say that as people are adopting that concept of overall governance, around managing and around viewing and then determining what the, how these apps are being seen by the organization and managed by the organization is an important part of the journey. And of course, the folks who are on the phone are part of that journey. And I would just say talk to your teammates about who are developing apps internally, and talk with your respective IT teams who are deploying this, and engage in that conversation, because ultimately this will be one way to provide some structure around the deployment of the apps within your organization. So it's an important kind of piece there that I think Aaron presented today. So thanks, Aaron.
I agree with that, Eric, and thank you again, Aaron. It was when you can see some of those metrics, that gives you more information to apply. So if you're looking at a particular app that you built that might take 40 or 60 hours to put together, but you could actually do the math on that, saying, I've now increased the efficiency of this team by X amount, and that's going to pay itself off in a year and a half, or a couple of months. But you're really dialing into those metrics that you can collect that stuff and say, this is how many people are using it, or wow, I really thought this one was going to take off, but it's a different team that's using this app. So those kind of things that can, without talking to everybody in your company, you can let the system tell you and help dictate the next decision to make based on those numbers. All numbers are good, right? More data, better data.
That's right.
That's right.
Great. Well, we're going to head on out then. We're going to go ahead and let Rod take over again.
Yeah, let's share my screen out here. And if I don't screw up the PowerPoint, we're going to get the full boat here. So give me one second.
Say what, Rod, if you want, I can just let the PowerPoint part share here, and then I'll switch it to you as the presenter when you're ready to demo.
That'd be great. You want to kick it forward one?
Yes, sir.
So today we're going to talk about PowerApps Portals. And hopefully everyone's had some sort of knowledge or has some baseline information about it, but we're kind of going to zero that out here. Your PowerApps Portal is your web-based interface that Microsoft has put out for the Power Platform for those, specific and even general needs of, all right, I want a web-based application. I'm going to have external people coming into the system, whether they're unknown and anonymous users or actually logging into the system and you're creating uses for them, or a vendor or a customer logging in to get some of their data. So it was, the model apps came out first, and then the Canvas apps, and then bringing in this application for a web-based solution. This is the way they kind of built it up and built it around. So today we're going to kind of talk about a couple of some of the variations that you can do within the system and why you would want to do some of these things. So it's pretty neat. If anybody's got any web-based experience of building applications and websites before, a lot of the stuff will make sense. If you're just doing internal apps, it's still going to make sense because a lot of that stuff is kind of blended together into this newer solution. And as we see here, you're going to see that there's a lot of the commonalities across the Power Platform and across the Microsoft's, all of their systems are moving into that one kind of blended atmosphere where everything that you're using on one side is going to start making sense on the other sides as well.
Great.
So we can go forward, please, Bill. So what is it? It's your low-code solution for building a website. It can lock into multiple ways to authenticate your users. You've got your what you see, what you get, common data service database that you're already working with from the PowerApps scenario, and then working with the simple CMS kind of content management solution and system itself for building the applications. With everything else, you've got that extensibility that if you are a full-blown coder and really want to get deep in the weeds of doing a bunch of different extra things within your website, this is entirely possible. It still has those extensions built in. And then there's a bunch of different pre-built templates that you can use. So we've got customers that are using this now. We ourselves, Velosio, use a version of this where we tied it into our CRM system for customer support. So if you're one of our customers and you go to open up a ticket, that fires right in through one of these portals and then enters our CE system and then alerts me that, Aaron just blew up your site and I've got to go fix it. So those kind of things is where you can really tie into the system. And we've got some also the starter kits and the other solution of using this in a blended manner where you might have your existing website that's out on one of the platforms, a Magento site. You can make your this particular template. You can build your templates to work with those same features and design aspects, so that someone is working with the Magento site on one side for the customer facing scenario and your e-commerce site, but customer support and opening tickets is coming through this portal, and having those work seamlessly together. You can kind of layer these in because it's all web-based. It's all just HTML. So you've got your CMS built right in to the CDS. You get your multi-language support if you wanted to do different levels along those lines. There's one of the options here that you can, throw down some forms in Japanese if you really wanted to, and that my Japanese isn't as strong as it used to be. But it's all built on top of that CDS, that common data service. You've got absolute control of your content. It's fast and reliable. The security model is built in for those external users that you're bringing them into your Active Directory, but they're labeled as external. So you can still lock that stuff down pretty tightly. And then the industry grade authentication that Microsoft is pushing across the board. So all these things combined get you that option to say, I can put up a website this afternoon that even just says hello world, but if you're a startup, you can get started with this and then start expanding it. If you're an existing company, you can bolt this into your existing applications and have that work seamlessly as well. We can jump to the next, please, Bill. And then you've got your CDS. So there's your, you could build the whole slide out, please. You've got your CDS for the apps. You've got your portal features with the content rendering and the web features that use containing that container. And then you've got your content, your lists and your forms, which if you're used to the Dynamics 365 and that model-driven app, we're still using a lot of those same things because they work great, and it's all designed on top of that to create this portal itself. So you can use any one of these options or multiples blended together to build out that particular solution. And one more, Bill. And again, for the community aspect, there's tons of training. There's tons of the free templates that are out there. There's the user groups. If anyone has questions on that stuff, I think, Aaron, we usually don't go a day or two without either asking a question or answering someone else's question across multiple platforms. Here with this LinkedIn community, you guys aren't really, kicking up and asking questions like I was hoping you would. So feel free to do so if you can start getting into these two. Plugged in, use that community as another place to, get questions asked and answered, across the board. But the portals and the free training that's out there is pretty great to start, as a baseline to say, here's my 101 training that we're going to quickly talk about, and then I want to get to 102, but you're building it in your environment and you're really not breaking anything because it's, added in, it's additive to the nature of everything that you're working on. And one more, Bill, I think there's 2 more slides, and then we jump into the demo.
Is there? Okay,
Nope,
I think it goes right into the demo. Yep.
Fantastic, because I'm done with slides.
I'm going to switch you over right now.
Let me switch that here to show out. Or go into the whole screen.
There you go.
Get rid of these people. And now we've got our logging in straight into the Maker portal itself in one of our demos. And you just saw that Aaron was working in the COE environment. So again, we build up different environments for each thing that we're doing. And for some reason, Kevin wanted his own. So it's fun to give Kevin grief about that. But we've got a bunch of different apps here. I'm going to jump right in. when you want to go create a new app, you've got your creation, and you can just click on a portal from blank, and it starts you right down the process of just give it a name. It'll give it that external, address itself. It's going to make sure that it's unique, and it spins that up. Without going through that process, I'm going to do the whole baker's trick of pulling it out of the oven and say that here and under this portal, where I go, portal example site here, you've got your standard. I can edit the portal. So that first part is just to build the application itself. And what that does is I just use the standard template to get us up and running. It's going to build a Contesto style website here for us. Let me make this a little bit larger. Hopefully everyone can still see my screen. Can I get a confirmation on that, Alan or Aaron?
We can see your screen.
Okay, great. So what we're looking at here is this is going to fire up the site and say, we've built a website called the Velosio portal example. And it looks just like, the editing section in there. So you've got multiple things you can do here. We've got a couple of services, product A, product B, product virtual agent, standard kind of concepts from your website, right? You've got your sign-in information if you wanted to create the users or if someone come in. You've got the About Us page, whatever text you want, multiple pictures, multiple images. When we go into the editing section and we say, all right, getting started with portals, the CMS interface is as classic for a CMS standpoint as you can get. Getting started with Aaron's nickname, Moonbeam. So we can, you can start editing the text right here. If you wanted to change the images from here, you select the home hero image, you can upload a new image, you can switch out, all of these same kind of scenarios. You can see that it's doing a smaller image, so it sets as a repeat. But each one of these components is designed to be that kind of layered effect, the same as we've seen in building the apps. You can see since you've been through the PowerApps training that we've done, you've got the same kind of tree layout. Oh, missed it. And it's not going to work for me there. You've got the same kind of layered scenario of, all right, I want to add this different text. I want to add this different image, these different components. And as you build these scenarios up and work with the different connections, you're still building out multiple things. When I sit here and I want to say, I want to add a new page, or I want to build out, I want to change the About Us page, you can navigate right to that and start modifying the About Us with Moonbeam. As you're modifying each one of these things, you can see down here, it does a constant save of the application. So each one of these pages is still building out. And as we go back to the home page here, hold on, it builds it out. You can add a child page. There's a couple different ways, and there's kind of that. Sorry, go ahead.
Show the changes on the actual portal site now that you've made a couple of those small changes.
Moonbeam, how are you doing today?
It's that quick.
So, I mean, we're writing right on the source. So it's not, as we're entering, you can see that this one, that we set it up, as we change and modify that source, it's being synced and configured and, pushed out in the application itself. Up earlier, I hit that, add a child page, or you can hit a new page. But if I want to add this new child page, and we can do all right, I want to do this as a contact us. If I could spell. And as I tab off of that, you can see that it's saving down here, but watch up here in the middle of this tile section, it switches this over to now it says contact us. So it's built in that when I added a child page from the home, it knows that it wants to build this up here. Again, this is just a template. You can factor in how you want to design your particular site. But then on the main page itself, I want to say, all right, I want to go ahead and I want to add a 1-column section. And I also might want to add in a 2-column section and then a 3-column section. Say, all right, on this top section. And if you're used to working within SharePoint, you've got a lot of those kind of similarities of this kind of structure. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of these same applications and things that we're doing here will be visible and kind of ported over to the SharePoint side, and there'll be some of that same kind of CMS between each thing. But inside of this top form, I want to go ahead and I want to add in where'd it go? I want to add in a form to this top section. I want to say contact us. So as we're doing this, I just gave it a name, contact, and I want to actually tie this and enter data into my CDS system. Again, choose, I blew it over twice here. Here we go, contact. And I'm lucky I didn't choose the contract because that always happens as well. Select the form name. I just want a basic, contact form. You can edit the form, which brings you out to the editing application and put you back into the CDS. You can also, is this form going to be an insert or an edit or a read only? I'm going to go with an insert for this particular case. On success, what do you want to have done? So again, this is the same kind of stuff that you would normally build. And if you were writing code behind these things, your web team would be, dipping into a couple of different options. Is it, this is a .NET site. This is a different variation. Show the success message. I want to redirect to a web page. Which web page do I want to go back to? I want to go back to the home page. So on success, after you fill out this form, drop it right down in here. And again, that's being saved in this process. Now we have you've got some advanced settings. So for this form, we've now got this form, and I'm going to hit the contact us page. Wrong one. Let me hit the sync configuration. When in doubt, save often.
Yeah, it looked like the save was still running down at the bottom there for you.
And I get impatient also. So we're going to add in this one particular form here. That's going to come back. Preferred method fields multiple.
Yeah, Rod, this is Eric. I mean, that's just a beautiful thing. I mean, when we were kind of talking about, this presentation, yesterday, we're talking about, and you sort of went through what you were going to be presenting, and then, the sort of the speed to value for companies again. And I always take a business perspective, as those participants who have seen our past presentations know. It's wonderful low code, no code, technology that can then be applied to kind of real business kind of solutions. And that's the value from my perspective of the entire Power Platform. And this is just yet another example. So let's talk for just a moment, guys, about some of the business use cases that we talked about. I mean, I think, one is, you have folks who need and want to interact with information that perhaps is sitting in a back end accounting system that wants to be surfaced up for a particular set of clients, right? So you can create a portal, create a connection to the accounting system, and there you go. You've basically added some value and ease of use with a kind of a fast to deploy kind of solutions. What other business applications for this technology, Aaron, do you see, or Rod?
Yeah, I'll jump in here,
Sure.
if that's all right, Rod. Yeah, I mean, I think you can look at this tool very simply and say, oh, it's another website building tool. Or you can look at this tool and say, this is what I would call not just a website, but a real web app, a web application that is, it is a website, but it's connected to your business data. It can be, and as Rod is showing here, once he gets the contact form set up, that this tool, in just a few clicks, can write data and show data from the common data service, from your business application database, if you're building Power Apps and storing data there. And so, Eric, I think you're spot on. I mean, some common scenarios would be like a vendor portal, maybe a partner portal. You have people who you need to share business data with, information with, and maybe they need to log in and only should see the information that's important to them. So it's showing them business data that you have in your database, but in a secure manner. And there's the another common scenario is with your customers, with your end customers. You can go check out support.velosio.com. That's our support portal that we have, and that's where if you're a customer of Velosio that you can get a login, you can go sign in, and you can interact with Velosio through that portal. And there's some pretty interesting things that you can do there.
So the concept of a virtual agent as well can be brought into, or a bot can be brought into this type of environment as well, right? So, anytime you're dispersing or need access to information, whether it's an internal group, right, your own company, or an external group, a client set or partner set, as Aaron mentioned, this is particularly applicable. And again, it's not like, all right, it's a 9-month IT effort, right? It is something that can be stood up relatively quickly with some good design, which we would always advocate that you spend time on that design.
Absolutely.
But then you can incrementally enhance it as you go along. And it's, again, not something where you're going to have to go and get a, $200,000, IT, approval from the board, to engage in. It's something that everybody who's on the phone can do. So.
And one of the things that you guys mentioned, tying this back to your CDS. I mean, so we're tying into the CDS for that data. If that CDS is tied to your ERP system, QuickBooks through F&O, SAP, it doesn't really matter. We can source that data. We can surface that data here in this application. And if you think of all the times, Eric, how many times have we done websites and then there's another 100 grand in integration work to get the data from the website back into that source system, into that other system, whether it's a hot, link that's doing real-time order entry or just a, hey, we're collecting information for X, Y, and Z, but that integration was always double the cost of what the site build was. Now you're actually building it all together at the same time on top of that, source system with that security inherent to the whole application.
Right, and that's what the common data service, allows, right? Is what you're speaking to there. I mean, it's so easy to it's very easy to integrate with and work with, and then once that data is there and accessible, then you can have what Rod is about to show here, which is a form that easily submits data into the database and then can display that data back.
So yeah, so from all that stuff, so even if we had other forms behind the scenes and we had other Microsoft Automates running with that whole application, you can get into these things. You can bury in links to launch a Canvas app so that if you're a salesperson and you logged in, you wanted to pull up one of your customers because they're down here, and like any good CRM system, this is filled with duplicates. So you can actually get into the same data and do the same scenarios, launch emails. I mean, this is using some of that native application, native processing built into the system to tie all these things together again, so that we're coming back of this single source of data, single source of truth, and how do we want to get into that information. So I'm going to go pull up John Glenn. I can then tie this to a Canvas app that shows me that I've got these different things going on, or he's got whatever machinery that I have in his location that I need to go in and repair. I can jump into those particular files that are saved in those CAD drawings that are saved up in SharePoint or in Azure blob storage somewhere. So you really can't just keep linking all of these things together. And this is the same form, the contact us form, that the whole application is using. We're just leveraging different tech to get access to it, and all based on top of the application itself and the way that they've designed this. And if while Eric and Aaron were talking, I moved that one form down from one cell to another, because you can't really drag and drop these things, but you can get in and start working with the HTML and this liquid programming language to say, I need to move this from here to here, or I need to embed some other JSON or embed something else to the system. And it's as easy as just processing that stuff and being able to read that code and knowing where to process those or to move those items and how you want to build that stuff out. And then behind the scenes, there is the whole application management of the website. Again, back to that COE to kind of bookend the whole day. You've got all the different information here of all the same scenarios. So if your admins want to see and set up different code links and child pages, you've got that aspect on top of everything else. So you've got the team and the marketing team building the site. You can still manage it from the back end, and here's all the different scenarios, and here's what the site is doing. Here are the different child pages. Here are the templates that I've created that they can use. The site settings themselves and how things, which applications, which images are available on which pages. I want to set up pages that expire. So a coupon code is going to be in a banner ad only until the end of the week, and then at midnight on Friday, it's going to down itself and throw up another image. Those are the kind of things that you can kind of tie everything together to get to that full-blown, website experience.
Hey guys, I don't want to feel like I'm stepping out into good traffic here, but we are down to about 6 minutes left in the slot. We have some Q&A to do, and we have a wrap up to do. So you mind if we start throwing a couple questions your way?
Absolutely, please.
Awesome.
Sure.
So I've got a couple questions I'm going to combine. They both come from Keith. Keith asked, he said, does this portal functionality somehow require CDS, or can we do anything we could have in internal use Power Apps? And then he followed that up with also, can it call Power Automate scripts as needed?
Yes, you can call it Power Automates, and this is built on top of CDS, but you don't have to use CDS to use it. You can spin up a site using the PowerApps portal without anything really tying to CDS from the contacts and your account records. You can have a full-blown site that does everything you want and tie in other links and other hooks to other places without ever leveraging the CDS. It's going to be there whether you use it or not, but you don't have to use it.
Okay. All right, I love this question from Brianne. I'm going to read it verbatim. It says, this seems like such an amazing option, exclamation point. Any chance we can get a portal in a day training? I'd love to learn more about this.
Yes, we can put that on the list. Eric,
Okay.
I don't think you're going to say no to that, are you?
No, we would love to, we would love to engage, and I think that that's a great idea. Of course, we've done, as the app in a days and dashboard in a days, and put together a portal in a day would be a great opportunity. So we'd love to.
Great. So I'm going to give, she has a follow-up question. I'm going to go ahead and ask that now.
Sure.
She says, I think Eric was touching on this, but is this a workaround for internal users that don't have a premium license? They use SQL for some apps, and they said we've run into problems with users not being premium or having access to the source data.
Licensing question. She's trying to sneak that in there, Bill. The licensing is Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, but for $200 a month, you get 1,000 hits, something along those lines. You can go to PowerApps Portals licensing, and you can get into that. If you wanted to use this as a way to hack around a full-blown license, you could probably do that with some witchcraft and trickery. It's not illegal, but you could certainly put some extra things in there. It's going to be front-loaded of building all those hooks and building those flows to get some of that local SQL data up into CDS and then exposing it through here. But I could see a picture of way of doing that. Aaron, you agree?
Yeah, I think just to answer the question generically, I think yes, PowerApps Portals is meant to solve the problem of when people who need to use this solution don't have a PowerApp license. I think that is what it's for. Now, there are other ways, as Rod mentioned, that you sort of have to pay for the portal, having the portal, but it does allow people to be able to log in and interact with your data in a similar way that a Canvas app might, and they don't have to have a PowerApp license assigned to them.
Awesome.
And if you feel free to reach out to us if you have a specific question, and we're coming to the conclusion that we'll never be able to do a licensing in a day. It's just too complicated. But every licensing contract or conversation we have, it gets down to the specific need of you versus myself versus Bill, Alan, Aaron. Each one of them, when you get to the specifics of this is what I need to do, we can come up with an answer, but the generalities of some of those questions are a little too vague to give you a straightforward answer, which is terrible.
Yeah, as well, Rod, it depends a little bit on what type of licensing arrangement you have as a company. Have as a company, and then what's included in, say, an enterprise agreement already. So that's important to acknowledge.
Guys, while the guys are talking here, I snuck in a poll behind there. If you don't know this already, this is our last event of 2020 for this series. We'll kick it out again in 2021. The team, our number one goal here is to help everyone get comfortable with and take advantage of the Power Platform. But there'll be times when you pick up that work and you do that internally, and there's probably times when you're going to look to a partner to help with that. We hope to be that partner when the time comes. So we're going to ask the question and just see, would a free 1-hour workload planning session be valuable to you? So that's something we're considering offering, and we'd like to get your feedback on that. Okay, we've
Nice.
just
Thanks,
about got everybody. Yep. Okay, I'm going to close that poll in here to say, it looks like about 60% of you said yes, that'd be interesting to you now. And another 45% said maybe down the road. And of course, nobody turned down a free workload planning session. Great. So I'm going to switch this. What's that? Go ahead. Sorry.
Very smart group.
Exactly. Let's see. I'm going to switch over here to me. I think, Eric, you're going to help us close it out today.
Yeah, no, just thanks for everybody for joining this afternoon. And so we hope that you found it valuable and interesting. We have enjoyed kind of developing this community. There's, as you go on the site, there's other presentations that we have made and that you can access from the past, but it is all about, innovation, right? And it's about articulating the use of the technology and how it can be effectively deployed. And so, our goal and role is to facilitate that process and facilitate really the help that you may need, as you go ahead and try to deploy this technology. So, we as Velosio, we have lots of clients and we provide lots of services as are articulated in that slide. And so, we've got experienced team members with lots of deployment knowledge behind them. We do have, and as I mentioned in the past, we do have a whole series of offerings that start, essentially from level 100 types of training, up through expert training, up through, providing deployment expertise, and we'd love to engage with you, in the projects that you are undertaking for your organization. So we stand ready to support. Yeah, so, for any of the folks that you are interacting with out there in the community, as you kind of network yourself, please feel free to join, invite them to join our alumni group, people within your organization as well. We welcome that opportunity, and we welcome, if you have ideas about topics that you'd like to see, then put them in the app in a day chat as well. And I guess we'll see you next year.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Happy holidays. Thanks,
Hey,
Bill.
thank you all for attending. If you do have any questions, there's an email address there, info@velosio.com. You can direct that to any of the presenters today, and we'll make sure it shows up in their inbox. This will conclude the event. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. See you.
Thanks.
Thank you.